once I don't know if you've got something you want to add to that.
Henry, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I hear you.
I don't. I was just listening to. I don't
Okay.
have an add to that.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. I just saw your hand up, and I know you and I've had many conversations, so I didn't want to, but do understand. I think all projects, all these items, even from the public perspective, are definitely needs. But we just got to decide on how do we categorize it, or break it up, or how do we move that splashed dollar forward, and how do we break it up to make it make sense. But we'll never, if your goal is strictly to do all the projects, you're going to fail at that because you can't realize that. However, if we're trying to continue moving the ball down the court, as stated, then I think we've just got to take the smaller bites from the apple and moving forward with the budget, with our normal budget, would encompass some of the expense or some of the things of some of the projects, and then we kind of continue to move forward because we've got some nice large projects to include, like the administrative building that we're looking at. And I think it needs to be a part of this particular SPLOST. But when we look down the road for the T-SPLOST, then I think that'll be a perfect timing to also add that on the CIP. So if by chance we move forward with the T-SPLOST and the vote is accepted, then we'll have that item as an item to repay ourselves. But solely putting both on at one time, I think that's going to be it's not going to be a great look to try that or to even do that. However, I think the percentage are some good percentages. I think we can, if we had to make some adjustment on the first round of the SPLOST, some adjustments on the SPLOST would be, if we had to make some adjustments, then yes, I can look at that, but I couldn't look at both at the same time in trying to make that a request of the citizens of Douglas County. So I'll leave it there for now, but I don't want to babble on because I know we got a long day today and we've got a couple of things we got to get done. So, but that's kind of where I sit. And once I read the information, Madam Chair, then I'll actually kind of really weigh in with a little bit more educated information to make sure that this makes sense, basically. And I yield back.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mitchell. Commissioner Carthen, have anything to add?
So, thank you, Director Perry, for getting us that information. But you sent it at 9:25 last night, so I didn't know that you had sent it. So I haven't had a chance to actually look at it. So I won't sit up here and try to be all educated at the last minute. Like I know what's in that document. I don't, so I'm not gonna pretend that I do. However, I am, of course, happy that this conversation is being held. We got to do it quickly. We got to move quickly. We got to prioritize, all of the things that Mr. Corbin has put in the list from the departments. My only suggestion would be to help us as the Board of Commissioners really, truly get the projects that are needed within those departments. Of course, we don't work in those departments, right? So we have to lean on the sheriff. We have to lean on Director Dukes. We have to lean on Chief Joe Levette to let us know what is needed, and to lean on Director Valentine to know what's needed in those particular departments. So what I asked, Chairman, is that our Deputy County Administrator and the Assistant County Administrator go back to each one of them and ask them to give us their top 3 priorities. And then we'll look at what those costs are, and we will try to assimilate the SPLOST according to that. I see that there's a 4th category. Not sure about that 4th category. These 3 categories, that we already had, were tight, right? And we were trying to make them do what they needed to do in the current SPLOST. So in the 4th category, we dilute some things again. But I think this is a great conversation to have. I look forward to that information that I'm requesting to come back. I think we still need to do a little bit more homework. The citizens have put it out there. I know I hear all the time about quality of life, even at my town hall. That was one of the main things, planning and zoning, and what are we doing, for quality of life. So, and safety is top priority for all of us. We can't live in a county and we don't feel safe, and we can't invite others into this county to spend dollars to help us with the SPLOS if they don't feel safe. So there are some priorities that we gotta make sure that we incorporate into this next SPLOS if the citizens so choose to approve it. And I think we can do that. But we just got to make those hard decisions. And each of the gentlemen that I named today are going to be crucial in that. So with that, Madam Chair, I yield.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner.
Madam Chair,
Vice Chairman Robinson, you have the floor.
I weigh in as Commissioner of District 2 now, so let me add to the conversation. I was just facilitating it earlier.
Okay, District 2 Commissioner, you have the floor.
Great, thank you. Yeah, this is a good conversation. I echo my peers' position on the timeliness of the information. 9 o'clock. And my peers did not know my internal conversation that I had to have to even get that. But duly noted, they got my point. They got my point. And I knew this was going to happen. Y'all got to meet our expectations. I knew this. I saw this a mile away. Right? So I'm leave that alone. District 2. So from District 2's perspective, what is important? Yes, public safety is important. So obviously, the Thornton Road corridor, Riverside. Obviously, we're whatever it's called, veterans. We're the wall to the east, and we recognize that. Don't bring that land over here. I talked to one of the deputies, one of the sergeants, and said, like, just you come over here, just behave. Just behave. Douglas County is a special place. It needs to be maintained. It needs to be appropriately funded. There is a cost to government. This mechanism that we thank the General Assembly for, which is this, because again, without this funding source, there's no way we could, like, guys, think about it. If you didn't have this funding source and try to do this out of your actual checking account, it would be a different type of quality of life. There's no way that we could fund the government adequately. It would just be a different existence. Not that it would not work. It'd be different. I'll put it that way. So let's not neglect the importance of the SPLOS as a mechanism. You have $1. Does not matter how you spread it. Taxation is going to come in, right? You're not going to tell it, I'm only going to do it just based on what the project list is. No, taxation comes in. What was the percentages? From District 2's perspective, obviously, subdivision resurfacing is important. They want to experience their tax dollars on a daily basis. I'll give credit to the Parks and Rec category. Obviously, I advocated for that, and that's already been done. Check. Can we do more? Great. Right. We understand public safety. I'm behind that. Great. But infrastructure is important. Right? It's just like with your house. 30 years of anything, it's going to dilapidate. And everybody has different perspective on what's reasonable. And District 2, no, they want to experience it. Like, no, you're going to we always are resurfacing main arteries. But what about our subdivisions? All right. So to my citizens, I told them I'll come back with this conversation right here. I'm like, okay, now we need your support. Only from the perspective you said that this was important. I'm not saying this, but I'm informing you. This is what you said. Subdivision, right? That's expensive, guys. That's $200 million by itself to do all 900 subdivisions. By itself, $200 million. Now we wouldn't do it all at one time. Let's say I broke that up. Maybe that's $40 million by itself. All 4 districts equally. Government costs. Yeah, the cost of concrete, sheriff, is expensive. Yes, lay down the roads. Yes, the infrastructure, the earth is expensive. It's expensive, and you need it. It's the thing that we live on. I mean, you need to make a solid footing. We don't live in the sea. We need solid footing. We need smooth travel. Mobility is important. So for District 2, that's important. And so I had to weigh in on that. As relates to the SPLOS, I don't disagree with the categories. I'm just, I can go either way with SPLOS and T-SPLOS now, because at the end of the day, the public will determine what how much we should do and not do. I don't dictate. I serve. So from my perspective, well, weigh in. Citizens, I mean, that's what we do. You tell what the priorities are, You say what we should go do. This is not the board making a decision. Our decision is simply putting it on the ballot and letting the citizens decide. This is not a millage rate conversation where we determine. This is a ballot question, and there is a difference. So, but again, I too want to sit back and think. I think we can smooth this out. T-SPOS allows us to take less pressure off of the main SPOS. You can really get into the infrastructure, all the things that Miguel laid out, those 4 or 5 categories, put it there. Now you can spread out up the top one with public safety, parks and rec and other things. Spread it out. Spread out. Take that transportation down. We'll take it all out of the SPOS, have the T-SPOS, and have another category there. There's no right or wrong. But I'm okay with the categories as is. Shrunk it a little bit more in transportation to make room for, again, I go back to take fire EMS up to 40%. Right? You can take the 50%, 25% for transportation, 50% for public safety, 25% for parks and rec. Done. There's 100%. It's not hard. 25 for public parks and rec. Well, that kick you up from your 17, that's 8 points up. Y'all need a little bit more room. Y'all got them big verticals in there, and you know you can't get there without making that number go higher. Do the math. Sheriff, I heard y'all. Are we combining you and chief? Got it. 50%. Bang. 25%. Yeah, we got to come back down again, and we have to go with a T-SPOS. And so to make up for it costs what it costs. All right, so it is a decision that we obviously going to have to take some time to have a fuller conversation. It's unfortunately my fellow commissioner, and I know the board could have went now, but I'd rather for us to have a full 5 here to make this decision. So waiting one more meeting is okay. Obviously, we can go back and have some more reflective thoughts, but this is not difficult. The dollar amount is irrelevant. It's just the percentages. How will you appropriate? It's the equity. At the end of the day, this is your cap. This is all y'all get. And whatever the projects come in under that, that's what it is. So this is not difficult. It won't take a lot of analysis, but to my peers, I knew you guys needed data. And so hopefully take some time and reflect on this. And I'll support, for the most part, where this needs to go. So, Madam Chair, I don't think we can go any further than this. I think we just need to go ahead and pause and move on to your next agenda item. But I think that's, I mean, you obviously get closing comment on it. But as far as we can go right now, I yield the floor, Madam Chair. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Vice Chair. Certainly the SPOS is a tool to subsidize our capital needs that improves the quality of life for our citizens, as Commissioner Carthen said earlier. So it's all about our citizens at the beginning and the end of the day. I do agree that we do need more time to go back and digest the information that was provided to us last night, but I do want to commend our executive team for going above and beyond to crunch some numbers and pull the data together, because it takes a copious amount of time to pull that information together. So I want to extend my appreciation to the cabinet for doing that. So Board of Commissioners continue to digest this information, and we will bring it forth in our second meeting in July, because July starts tomorrow. So it'll be our second meeting in July, and then we'll go from there. The categories, in my opinion, are stable. Public safety, the citizens made it very clear in our strategic plan for 2025 that public safety is first and foremost, and I hope that this board will continue to keep the eye on public safety as our priority, and then parks and recreation, of course, as our citizens want to enjoy quality of life. And transportation is important as well, because we have to road. So it's just going to be a matter of trying to leverage and see what we can do to, at the end of the day, make sure that our citizens are accommodated appropriately. I have no further comments. Again, just continue to digest this information, board, and then we'll discuss it in our second meeting in July. Okay. Next topic, certainly we'll want to move because it is sensitive to the time. We have a groundbreaking ceremony today at Pumpkin Town, and we want to make sure we pay attention to the time. Board of Commissioners, I'm going to move on to tab number 5, which is under grants. I need everyone to mute your mics. Okay, tab number 5 under grants is authorization to apply for state of the Georgia DHS grant fund.
lose Madam Chair?
I believe she's frozen.
Yeah, she's frozen.
Okay. All right, Lisa, let's keep this going. Just get back. Read the.
Okay. Okay, number 5 is authorization to apply for State of Georgia DHS grant funds for Safe Care Coordinator for fiscal year 2023. And Director Jennifer King is here to talk about that.
When Madam Chair returns, I've got the floor. Director King, you have the floor now to speak.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Good morning, Board. I apologize. I have been sick the last week. This is just the authorization to apply for the next fiscal year for our Safe Care Coordinator position that we just recently refilled, I think, at the last meeting. We will be asking for this position again in a full-time basis, and that's really the only change.
Gotcha. Fellow commissioners, any comments for Director King? Director King, that's it. Go back and rest.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, next topic.
Yes, sir. Number 6 is authorization to accept a fiscal year 23 AG 2307 aging sub-grant contract with the Atlanta Regional Commission in the amount of $584,130.49 with an in-kind match of $41,713.15. Amend the budget and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents subject to final legal review. And Director Gilchrist is here to speak on that.
Dr. Gilchrist, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, this is our annual contract with the Atlanta Regional Commission to provide homemaker services, congregate meal, home delivered meals, transportation services to the seniors and
Bless you.
Gotcha. Fellow commissioners, especially Commissioner Carter, any comment on this one? Is this important for us?
This is Vice Chair Mantic.
Yes, you may. Please.
Thank you. Good morning, Dr. Gilchrist.
Good morning.
So I'm very familiar with this grant. Can you tell me where the match is coming from for this?
Basically, the match is part of the grant part of the services that we provide. So it's in kind, and it's the dollar amount that comes out of our budget to purchase the food and provide the transportation like gas and those things. So that's where our match comes from.
Got you. And since we're on that, do you have a waiting list for any of these services?
Absolutely. Yes, we do. We have a waiting list, especially for our home delivered meal services. But I am happy to announce, and that will be coming as soon as we receive our contract from the Atlanta Region Commission. We applied for a grant recently to serve those that are on our home delivered meals waiting list. And we were awarded that grant. So I am super excited about that. And that will help us to at least temporarily provide meals to them on a weekly basis.
On a weekly basis. Not
Yes.
every day, but at least on a weekly basis.
Well, it will be every day
Okay.
until the funds run out. Exactly. And we will have that funding for 2 years. For
Right.
2 years. Yes.
Is there an area, and if you don't know this off the top of your head, don't feel like you got to answer me now. You can just get the information to me. But while I'm thinking about it, is there an area within the county that is in most need, like the majority of your requests come from? Like, is it the north, the south, the east, the west, closer to the city? Is it closer to, boundary waters? Like, where is the need the greatest?
Well, basically, Commissioner Carthen, that's a really good question. We serve seniors all over the county. We even have some seniors that call us from Villa Rica, places that are close to us. And one of the things that the Atlanta Regional Commission did, they recently did a study that identified zip code 30187, 30180, and 30135 as having about 1,068 older adults that are not receiving services right now. And part of the grant, we applied, there was a pilot program. And I'm also happy to announce that we applied for the pilot to begin providing meals to older adults in the 30187 zip code. And we did receive about $40,000 for that. So hopefully by our second meeting in July, we will have that contract. So we have some great things that are moving ahead in senior services. And I will also go on and say that I also, my team and I, we applied for within this same grant services to begin assisting grandparents who are raising their grandkids. And we received funding for that as well. So we have some great things that are coming down the pipe.
Awesome to hear. So I will, we didn't include you on the SPLOST conversation, although some of the items did pertain to senior services. So I would definitely want to sit down and have a conversation with you and probably one of our county administrators and finance to see what else is needed within that. I know we can kind of touch your area, but again, we don't know because you weren't included in that conversation. And it's really vital because it is a part of quality of life. And our seniors are a big part of the community. I know because I've served them a long time. And so I just don't want you to think that we forgot about you. We did not. So that
we provided a list. We did provide a list.
Wonderful.
We provided them with the list. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes,
Gotcha.
ma'am.
Wonderful.
It's on
Thank
there.
you so much. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
With that, Vice Chair Robinson, I yield, and I do see Madam Chairman Jones, you're back.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Carter. Madam Chair, the floor, yield back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Vice Chair. And again, I apologize for the technical difficulty, but I want to just chime in with Dr. Gilchrist just mentioned that we are seeing some uptick in just some opportunities with the senior and aging elements, particularly from the ARC. And I believe we received just a little more funding this time, right? Dr. Gilchrist, a little additional funding as well. I noticed the number appears a little higher.
Yes, the number tends to fluctuate with the Atlanta Regional Commission. Once they receive their money from the state, then they divide it amongst the 10 counties that they provide financial assistance to. So it is a little bit higher, but also we invoice them based on what we serve. So, yes, ma'am.
And just, if I could just put a little nugget in there, we do have some additional funding that we received. I serve as the chair, one of the co-chairs for the senior and aging for ARC. So I'm definitely at the table for the 10 metro counties, but also, knowing that Douglas County, I always have my pom-poms in my hand, making sure we get what we need. So there are some more exciting things coming real soon, and I'll be able to share with the board, or either I have Vicki Kurse share with the board and also with you, Dr. Gilchrist. All right, we're going to move on.
Madam Chair, just one quick question while we got Dr. Gilchrist.
Okay, you have the floor. Commissioner.
Thank you. And I might have missed this because I got knocked off for a second. I just got back myself. So Dr. Gilchrist, I don't know if this was asked or not, but is this a matching type of a grant or what we're getting, or is this strictly all of ARs? Or from just strictly no match from ARs?
Commissioner Mitchell, yes, it is a match, but it's an in-kind match. So the match is already in our budget. Yes, sir.
In kind. So you're going to be doing some work to kind of do the match versus dollars and cents.
Yes, sir.
Good. And I noticed too, though, correct me if I'm wrong, this is more of a regional approach, which is great to reach out and have and extend you guys. But is that working in your favor? I mean, because I noticed you kind of mentioned a couple of zip codes that are a little bit, either further out west, but either way. But I'm assuming this is a regional approach from ARC, the grant that you're getting, correct?
Yes, sir, it is. And there are some things that I did ask for in the CIP that will help us meet this need. And I've outlined them in our CIP request. So yes, hopefully we can have a conversation soon.
Yeah, okay. I just didn't want to, with your staff, and I think you guys are doing an excellent job. So keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Great work. However, I just, want to make sure that we don't overextend you guys, and what you guys do, because I don't mean to be selfish looking out for our seniors, outside of the other, the outside regional seniors. Don't want to exclude them. Go ahead.
Those zip codes they're Douglas County zip codes.
I know, but
Yes,
they're just
sir.
a little further. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. You know, like the 30180 goes a little bit further west.
Yes.
Now it crosses over, outside of Villa Rica. Well, it just depends on kind of where that map is kind of drawn, what it is. But
Right.
I'm just saying that's an extension. But the good part is, I must say that this board has even considered and put on the list of a new senior citizen center, hopefully in the next BLOST, because this BLOST didn't kind of make it to that point of the dollars and cents. But the next BLOST, I think, if this board continues to move forward in that request, it would be a senior citizen center that you will be manning further out west in District
Yes,
4.
sir.
Yeah, so good stuff. I mean, great stuff. Glad to hear it. And again, I just want to make sure that this regional approach doesn't overextend you guys. And if so, then let's make sure we don't hurt you and your team in trying to service everybody.
Right, absolutely. We actually, with the new funding, we're starting with, there's a senior facility right off Liberty Road. It's called Connors Village. So we already provide services to a few of the residents. So we're actually tailoring the new funding to that particular community. And
no, go ahead.
so
No, go ahead.
we also work with GIS to map out the zip codes that we receive from ARC. And so GIS, they provided us with a very detailed map of the area.
Well, thank you again. And I truly, truly appreciate you and your team and all that you guys do and all the work that you put in. And I'm glad to hear that you, or at least, you know where to go and find and look and seek out those other dollars and cents, and not just solely rely on this board and or this budget to kind of find your way. So good job, and continue those efforts of finding other funding sources like ARC and others. So thank you again, and I appreciate all the work you're doing. Thank you. Now you're back, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for your support.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mitchell, and thank you so much, Dr. Gilchrist. Board, we're going to move on to tab number 7, authorization to accept a grant in the amount of $10,000 from the Georgia Department of Agriculture for the Dog and Cat Sterilization Program, amend the budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Director Franchowski, you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners. This grant was awarded to Douglas County Animal Services through their dog and cat sterilization program. I applied for this grant a few months ago in hopes that we would receive more than we've raised in the past. With the loss of our spay and neuter gala that normally brings in about $28,000 a year to support our spay and neuter program, with that loss, I put in a plea through the Department of Agriculture to go ahead and give us a larger grant this year. Normally it's about $7,000 or $8,000. We received $10,000 this time to go ahead and support the loss of funds and proceed with our spay neuter program. The guidelines for this year's spay neuter grant was based off of data that they record through our monthly reporting and the community involvement, what difference we've made in the community. I'm happy to say that our numbers increased even through COVID. Our numbers have increased positively. We've had a great outcome in servicing the community as far as spaying and neutering animals from the shelter, which reflected in us getting this $10,000 grant.
Thank you so much, Director Franchowski. Any questions for comments? Okay, pretty self-explanatory. Thank you so much, Director. We're going to move on to tab number 8, authorization to apply for CJCC grant for the state court DUI drug court program in the amount of $106,462 with a match of $14,518 match from the director's salary, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. We have Director Best, Joshua Best. You have the floor.
Good morning. Thank you, Board of Commissioners. Thank you, Board of Commissioners. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is our annual grant that we received from the CACJ that helps supplement our budget here. As you mentioned, the match is coming from my salary This budget helps with our pay for some of our testing, counseling, treatment services, and it just helps to subsidize our budget here in the DUI court, the state DUI court, and it's the annual budget that comes from, the annual grant that we receive from the CACJ, and I would just request that you guys go approve us accepting that grant money. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bass. Any questions for the commissioners for Mr. Bass? Okay, thank you. We're going to move on board to our next item, which is tab under business items, and it's tab number 9, authorization to advertise for a public hearing to consider amending Chapter 5, Animals and File, Section 5-81, reclaiming impounded animals of the Douglas County Code of Ordinances. And Director Frank Chakowski, you have the floor again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What we're trying to do with this proposed ordinance change is we're trying to update our fees for Douglas County Animal Services. As the fees state right now for the ordinance, they have not been changed in over 20 years. So in 20 years, we've gone through quite a bit of change. We've gone through presidents, we've gone through inflation, we've gone through recessions, we've gone through everything. Right now, we are selling ourselves short. We are the bottom line when it falls into our surrounding areas of generating revenue. So with this, we're trying to go ahead and increase our fees to be closer in range to the other counties that provide similar services. Our county, of course, provides more services than most, and we'd like to go ahead and reflect that due to our fees. We are not going to be changing the wording, just the actual fee amounts, and these fees are not anything as far as court costs or whatnot. These are fees that are generated directly towards our revenue, with any excess going towards the general fund.
Thank you, Director. Any questions for Director Franchkowski? Okay. Thank you. All right. Board of Commissioners, we're going to move on to tab number 10, approval of the submittal of an encroachment permit application and indemnification agreement of to GDOT for the new Manchester High School sidewalk wall project, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Director Valentin, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are now able to move that project forward. The project connects essentially boundary waters to the high school, and there is what is referred to as a pedestrian signal, a hawk signal, to provide a crosswalk from one side of the road to the other. And so we are making application to GDOT for an encroachment permit, and as part of that, they require an indemnification agreement. And so both of those items will require signature by you, Madam Chair. There is no cost for the permit as it relates to the project. It's just that because it is along a state route, we require authorization from GDOT to be able to implement the project, and the encroachment permit is the vehicle by which they provide that approval.
Okay, thank you so much, Director Valentin. Board of Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, thank you, Director. We're going to move on to tab number 11, and that's yours as well. Approval of a task order in the amount of $6,200 to BM&K for the right-of-way acquisition assistance on the new Manchester High School sidewalk project to be funded by the 2016 SPLOST funds allocated to the project, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Director Valentin, you have the floor again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, a related element to that project. We, when we expanded the sidewalk reach over to Boundary Waters on the opposite side of the high school, we are going to require to obtain easements to be able to do the construction. The sidewalk changes the elevation of the side of the road somewhat, and so we have to kind of slope it to the prevailing grade behind it. And so it's going to require easements on 4 properties. And so the on-call consultant for right-of-way acquisition, BM&K, they're going to, the intent is for them to provide us an estimate from which we can negotiate the acquisition of those easements.
Thank you so much, Director. Any questions forward?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Vice Chairman Robinson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Great conversation today, and I'm reflective, and I'm encouraged by this project here. Back to quality of life, back to safe passage, back to the funding sources is a SPLOST. If the citizens so deem that, like, we're 1 penny out of $1 or 1%, they're able to do quality of life projects like this. It's discretionary. Unlike property tax and the millage rate that extracts to pay for salaries and stuff and general government, this funding source is just it's a brilliant tool. I mean, General Assembly got this right because the citizens choose whether or not they're going to spend their sales tax how they spend it. They're like, okay, a penny for each dollar, okay, a lot of pennies, but it makes this thing work. Right? Can I get across the street safely? I'm thinking about me using that. Y'all see me walk across Vegas in Savannah. Safe passage. Right? I just want to get across the street. Commissioner Robinson, can I get some sidewalks in Douglastown? Can I get some street lights? And it made me think about the sheriff. Yes, we want to be safe, but yet we want to be safe from cars. I've been hit by a car. I'm going to be killed. Right? I mean, I'm just in that place. Maybe I'm still coming off that anesthesia, but I still am in that place. But no, guys, we're doing well by the citizens. And these projects like this that we can actually point to, that we heard you. We represented your interests, and here it is. You want to get from the park to the school, back and forth, programs, all that. We were intentional, we were thoughtful. We get the school board has their jurisdiction, but here we are, we're bridging the gap. We're making a connection, and we have a responsibility. But this is a partnership. This project, and while you may not think it's a big deal, it is. Safe passage, right? Can we connect the dots as a board of commissioners? Can we see how all this fits together? Can we separate what's what and what is? And this one here is I'm just encouraged to see this. So I just want to make that statement, Madam Chair. I have no question. Obviously, I thank the board for fully supporting this project when we put it on the list. But I'm looking forward to it to sort of move forward. Thank you, Miguel, for your overseeing this and making sure it gets to the place it's supposed to be. I yield, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion, board? If not, I'm going to move on to tab number 12. Tab number 12 is approval of submittal of an encroachment permit application and indemnification agreement to GDOT for the Highway 5 and Douglas Boulevard intersection turn lane project, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. Director Valentin, you have the floor again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Similarly to this project at Highway 5 and Douglas Boulevard, we're at the point where we're seeking authorization from GDOT to be able to implement the project. We are in the right-of-way acquisition phase there as well. And once we complete the right-of-way acquisition and we have this permit from GDOT, we'll be able to advertise that project and get it to construction.
Okay. Any questions on board for Director Valentin? Okay. I have one more for you, Director. Tab number 13 is authorization to award the on-demand professional consulting services contract extensions to the firms of Atkins, Michael Baker International, Alfred Benish and Company, AECOM Pond and Company, RS&H Incorporated, B&M Consulting Engineers, GCA / KCI, and then BM&K and GPI Geospatial and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents. If you could just brief the board on what this is all about, Director.
Certainly. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, these are the contracts that are historically on demand for transportation and infrastructure in general. And they were initiated back in 2019, as I recall, and they have been extended. They usually run from May of one year to May of the following year, or I should say from June to May of the following year. And so it is to extend them until May of 2023. So we have those professional firms available to continue when we have need, as we do now for a number of projects where, even though we do not have all of the funding in place to move the projects forward, such as intersection improvements, we do have within the SPLOST an allocation for initial design or analysis. And so these are going to be needed to get us to the point where those projects, we have a basis in terms of what it is that is viewed as the best solution for those intersections, and what the potential cost would be. So again, it's an extension of time of the contracts that have been in place for about 3 years now.
Okay, thank you so much, Director.
I'm sure.
Do you have remarks? Vice Chairman Robinson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To my peers, this initiative did not, request did not come before the Transportation Committee. I only saw it on this agenda. Admittedly, full disclosure, I had a conversation with Director Valentine this morning, and I see where perhaps it went in a different direction. I'll let those who were involved in this. When we created the on-demand consultant, it was just for that reason 3 years ago. And the intent is that it will run for 3 years. They'll be on standby to quickly do, like Miguel just said, help us with quick analysis, quick designs, quick stuff versus the formal RFP process. It was a qualifying process, just like we just went through for our project manager. We're at the end of that 3 years. Right? Time to reshuffle. Time to refresh. Right? No more forever contracts. And it's just like, okay, so where's this going? Now, I'm okay with the extension per se. It's just how we got here. It's like, wait a minute now. So what are we saying? We're going to award some contracts for work just in immediacy. If the need comes down based on the timeline of the spots, I got it. Okay, but I've never seen these contracts until now. So this is more procedural. This is more administrative. It's not really legislative to me, but it's like, okay, so we haven't done that for the last 2 times. These are task orders. I just don't know about this one yet. I need to reflect on all this. So I don't know if this is a legal matter, an administrative matter, a procurement matter. But like somebody, I'm not going to belabor this right now because I'm not ready to decide on this yet. I get the work. We don't want to stop it. It's just, so it's not about the work. I know I'm not trying to lay the work, but it's how we got here, and how there needs to be a little bit more conversation, communication, not last minute throwing stuff on LinkedIn like, okay, now what are y'all doing? I know how we feel about contract awards. Is somebody out there that can weigh in, one of the administrators, I don't know, somebody needs to weigh in and give us a little bit more clarity on one, when are we going to do the refresh, which is at the end of 3 years. So should we not go to the end of the year when y'all going to put forth their RFQ process so we can reshuffle the deck? Or somebody needs to talk to me on this one.
Representative, do you have any?
Yeah,
bring the lawyer or the procurement officer. Let's make it simple. County attorney, procurement. Somebody talk to me. How do we get here like this? And if this new procedural process change, tell us that. This really caught me off guard. Like, what now? Without the courtesy of a phone call to let us know, what are y'all doing? So this is our job to check and balance. Like, okay, what now?
I was going to say, Vice Chair, the procurement director is out of the office until after the July 5th holiday. I'll yield to the county attorney for further comment.
So I don't know a lot about the projects or the contracts. I know we were asked if it needed to go before the board. It was my view that because we are extending a contract, it did need to go before the board. But beyond that, I don't know a lot about the contracts, candidly. I've not reviewed them, and I'm not sure exactly of a lot more information about them other than that. I'm happy to do so and see if I can tell you more, but that's what I know.
That's fine. You're fine. That's sufficient. But listen to this for everybody. It's the difference between a contract and on demand. It has no monetary value. It's just on demand. If there's an active task order, well, pay them. We get that. So there's a separation. It's just a contract for a body of work. These guys are it's just a list of vendors. That's what the board appropriated. We approved 3 years ago. A list of vendors that are on standby. You go down the list and you award a task if they qualify for whatever they're going back and forth administratively. Right? So what are y'all saying to me? You're saying we're awarding contracts. What are we doing? It's just a list. So I'm okay if we're extending the list through the end of the year until we refresh it. But if it's on demand, that's a process in of something. Then with the task order, you get into the contract and body of work. That's what I'm saying. No, we need to think about this. This is, I get you, but I don't think we're all on the same page on what are y'all doing? And since the procurement officer is not here, and Madam Carson, I think is something that we should talk about further later on. We don't have to do it right now. I just need to, is there anything pressing, Director Valentin, that I got to make a decision right now? Because I'm of the nature that we need more information. I want to know exactly what are we doing here.
Yeah, if I could offer some background, generally, and you're correct, Commissioner, these are the on-demand contracts that carry zero value. They provide us with a list of consultants to go to in a number of specialties when we have a need. And then that need is codified in a task order with a monetary value that comes back to the Commission for approval. So generally, because it is just a standby on-demand agreement, it is handled administratively. So if you have the initial list in 1 year and it runs from 1 year, at the end of that year, historically, it has been handled administratively to do an extension, a request for an extension, just to make sure that the consultants are still viable and that they're still capable, they have the staff to do the work. The reason this was put on the agenda is because the question was raised, should it be on an agenda or can it be handled administratively? I did not bring it to the Transportation Committee because I was not driving this particularly. It was going through the procurement process to get them to be able to get them signed. That's how it came about. The intent was to do the last extension of the current list, and then so that it carries us through the end of the SPLOST, which would be next April or next March. Mm-hmm. And so we would, in the meantime, towards the end of the year, we would have a new RFQ, very similar in nature to the last one, where we would then qualify an entire new list of on-demand consultants. So that's what this is. It was an extension of time of that list to get us to the end of the SPLOST. And the reason it hadn't come before the board before is because it was being done administratively. This would have been the first time, to my knowledge, that it was placed before the board for a time extension.
That being said, I won't believe it's going to know we got to go. Since the procurement officer is not here to speak this, I'm going to yield right now. I'm not in support of this right now, but I'm willing to yield to Commissioner Carthen, Chair of Procurement, on her perspective on this, and if she chooses to speak to it. But maybe we can just table this until there's a chance for her to address why we're doing it this way. I yield, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Carthen, did you want to weigh in briefly? I know you. Commissioner Carthen, there you go.
Madam Chair, can we discuss this? Yes, offline. So if we need to table something, let's do that, and then we get Ms. Ammons involved, and we can take it from here, if that's okay.
Yep, that's exactly where I'm
on the table. Thank you, Madam Carthen. Yes, ma'am.
I only wanted to just yield to you, Commissioner Carthen, Chairman of Purchasing, Oversight of Procurement Oversight. Okay, well, Clerk, did you get that? We're just going to table this item. So when I say table, just make sure that it doesn't appear on Tuesdays. agenda.
Yes, ma'am. And I can add a little more information if I may.
Yes, you may.
Probably what happened was these were brought to me and they did require the signature of the chairman. And I did take it to legal, asking their opinion on whether or not it should actually go on the agenda since it requires your signature. So that's how it got on the agenda. I know we did handle it administratively in the past, which didn't go through me. So I just wanted to make sure we were capturing what we needed to capture. But
okay, thank you. We'll just again just remove it from the agenda coming forth. That's on coming forth for Tuesday, and then we'll discuss it even further and then go from there. Okay.
yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, ma'am, but I yield.
Wait, I'm sorry. Madam Chair, that prompts me to have a discussion about processes for stuff such as this, because again, I think we've asked in the past, we've talked about it, about how to slim down our agenda and make sure things were being brought forth that needed to be brought forth. So this is just one of those, again, that we kind of need to address our processes so that, you know, if this could have been handled administratively, then it should have been. If not, and our legal said no, you know, this needs to go through other channels, then we need to do that. That way, Ms. Watson isn't being caught off guard, Director Valentine isn't being caught off guard, neither are we. So we just got to streamline our processes. That's one of the things that I just needed to make sure we capture. So this is a great time to point that out. Thank you. I yield.
Okay. You're welcome. Vice Chairman, you have the floor again. Thank you.
Give prompt to a point, right? Why is this before us? Right? It's administrative. Why is this before us? And so again, we hate these moments. Like, come on, guys. So anyway, I don't want to necessarily table it. I don't even think it needs to come back before us until it's been proven that it needs to. Like we're creating process and the policy in the moment by precedent. We take actions like that creates this. Is there really an action that needs to be taken here other than what you guys would normally do? Do you need a legislative action when this could have been handled administratively in the executive side? We already authorized it. We gave it a 3-year run. We get it. Right? And we will catch the award of the contract when the task order is done. So I don't think I want to take back what I said by way of table. And said, I don't think we need to see this. But I want to yield for right now. Let's just take it offline. And if I want to clarify for the record, I'm not recommending a tabling until we solve it offline, as Commissioner Carthen, Chair of Procurement, said. And if it comes back, great, through Opine. And if not, let's keep moving. All right, Madam Chair, I yield. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We will look at it from the executive perspective and make a decision there. And if it needs to come back to the board, you will see it. If not, no further discussion. All right. Thank you so much, Clerk. And also thank you so much, Vice Chairman Robinson and Carthen, Commissioner Carthen. We're going to move on to tab number 14, which is our last tab. I know the clock is ticking. The last tab is approval of a contract amendment with BHB for the East and West Bankhead Small Area Study to be completed in coordination with the comprehensive plan update in an amount not to exceed $175,000 to be funded by a budget amendment to the Planning and Zoning Department budget and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents subject to final legal review. And this item was tabled from our 6/2022 meeting. Manager Duncan, how are you today?
Hey, I'm well. How are y'all?
Oh, very good. You have the floor. If you could just brief the board on what this request is all about.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And I will be brief. We have worked with VHB to scope a study that focused on the new development and redevelopment opportunities for the east side of Veterans Memorial Highway. As I had mentioned at the Board of Commissioners meeting on June 22nd, we are a step or two ahead in the Lithia Springs area. So there has been considerably more development in this side of the county. There's more infrastructure, and staff has already completed 2 small area studies in this part of the county. So we are proposing a somewhat different scope of work in this area than what had been proposed for the west side of Bankhead that was previously discussed. The 2 critical pieces of this east side study include a corridor study along the entire Veterans Memorial Highway between the city limits of Douglasville and the State Route 6 US 78 intersection. The goal of this would be to produce an overall vision for that US 78 corridor. And then we were also proposing to produce an updated zoning framework for the West Fork area. We've included up to 5 node studies for critical nodes, critical intersections that merit more detailed illustrations in this area. So the overall fee for this work is $105,700. Therefore, if it is the desire of the commissioners to undertake both studies of the east and west side of Veterans Memorial Highway, the total fee for this work would be $172,700 when we include the $67,000 for the west side study. And I'm glad to take as much time talking about the details of the differences between the 2 projects, but I'll pause here to see if you have any questions or feedback or anything you'd like to discuss further.
Thank you so much, Manager. Board of Commissioners, any questions for?
I'm gonna be quick on this. Yes, ma'am.
You have the floor. Question.
All right, so I'm glad to hear that we were heard. There needs to be a balanced approach. I'm glad to see the east side of obviously is in the conversation. I don't like exclusion. I like inclusion. If you're gonna go in and do it right, so that's good. And who's getting this contract? Who's being recommended? Say it again, Ms. Duncan.
So we are proposing this as a contract amendment to the comprehensive plan update that you have already approved.
Yes.
The reason for that is because we will achieve some efficiency because we're already doing the community engagement and the extensive land use planning as a part of the comprehensive plan. So we are recommending this as a contract amendment to VHB contract for the comprehensive plan update.
All right, thank you for that. That's right. This conversation we had before, we went into detail. We understand that. My second question is more of a, do they have the capacity to be able to do this, and do they have minority participation involved in this, meaning local vendors, etc.? Can you answer that question? Was anybody here them that can speak to this? Because it's really about scale. We're giving them this big giant project, and then we got these specialized, and I don't want to be diluted. Yes, I get the economies of scale and synchronization, but we still want to accomplish objectives. We just had this conversation about vendors, and so we want to make sure that everybody gets to be included, have an opportunity to participate. Can you speak to that, please?
In regard to the contract for the comprehensive plan, they had dedicated 25% of the comprehensive plan fee to minority and women-owned businesses. I don't have a specific breakout for these projects. We could certainly have that information for you by the July 5th meeting, if that would be of interest. I believe Allison Stewart-Harris is on the line from VHB. I don't know if she has that information more readily available than I do, but I would yield if she has a better answer to that question than I do.
Yeah, I would like clarity in that here's an additional, we chose to do this. And so we're looking for you to be sensitive in what we're trying to accomplish by giving this additional work without actually going out to market. Right, so you got, there's a coexistence. My question was, is there any local participation with this addendum, not the additional contract? Don't confuse the two. It's this body of work. Is there local participation of Douglas County? And is there any minority firms participation as far as any involvement? I'll just leave it at that. It's a simple question.
Yes, so I'm happy to answer that. So we have our women-owned business, Sycamore Consulting, who would have a part of this project, as well as Perez Planning and Design, which is a minority-owned firm. We do not have a local presence on these two, on either of the small area studies, since they were not part of that original contract for the comprehensive plan. But if it is the wish of the BOC, we're happy to consider adding another teammate to help with the process, and one who is local. I did have a great conversation the other day with Dr. DJ, who is local in Douglas County, and and again, if it's the direction of the board, we're happy to find a way to include her in the scope.
I'm not looking for any one firm, but local is important as an objective. I'm just creating the atmosphere. So you've answered my question, but I think that would be important to have local. Again, we appreciate the work you guys did with CTV. Don't get me wrong. I think that's why you're getting this project as well. So we appreciate you as a partner, but also how we do it. Think about it. Most of this contract value is going outside the county. And I think that there are some people that are here that are qualified that need to have what we call first consideration. So I'm going to leave it at that. That would be important for my support and vote next week. All right, that's all I need to thank you. You did well in your response. Thank you, Ms. Duncan. Madam Chair, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other remarks, board? If not, thank you so much, Manager Duncan. Board of Commissioners, what we're going to do, certainly, again, I'm looking at the clock and it's certainly ticking. We do have one board appointment that needs to be discussed in executive session. Attorney Coben, do we need to go into executive session other than what's on this agenda?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. We have a couple of very brief litigation matters to be discussed, as well as an additional personnel matter.
Okay.
But I understand the time urgency, and we'll be very, very brief on all of it.
Okay, thank you so much. Board of Commissioners, certainly we will not engage in a break today. We're just going to go straight into executive and come out with regard to, in respect to time. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to go into executive session?
I make a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. When I call your districts, please respond accordingly. District 1.
Yes.
District 2.
Yes.
District 3.
Yes.
District 4 is not here. The chairman, yes. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote and the motion carries. Into executive session. Clerk, move us in the right direction.
You are back live. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Sierra. Citizens of Douglas County, thank you so much for your patience. The Board of Commissioners will actually return from our executive session, and certainly just wanted to briefly just say that we have a very important event occurring today at Pumpkintown Park. It will be a groundbreaking ceremony. That ceremony starts at 1:30. So certainly we'd love to see our citizens come out and support this ceremony. It will be held in District 3. And I know Commissioner Carthen is very excited about it today. I want to remind our citizens as we approach Independence Day to please be mindful that we're still in a public health crisis with the pandemic. COVID-19 is still ever present. We do have a new BA variant on the horizon, which is BA 4 and 5, which is a subvariant to the Omicron variant. And certainly would just ask if we could just be mindful and just still take precautions during this holiday and going forward. Board of Commissioners, if there's nothing else to come before this body, this meeting is adjourned. And thank you, everyone, and have a very, very good day.